Hi, I'm Pat. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Crafty Pat, where I discuss all the things I'm crafting. Currently, I am working on some cross stitch and some knitting. I just started learning to knit a few months ago. My last video was about socks. So I have a sock that I'm happy with. A plain vanilla sock, a 2x2, I think I did 2x2 rib, and then I did not an afterthought, I'm sorry, a forethought heel, because I used waste yarn. So this yarn, I have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm just going to put it up here and I'll put it in the notes below. It is 75% superwash wool, 25% polyamide. It's a #1 superfine. It's called Ethereal. So there it is. The color is 3010. I'm really happy with it. It's soft. It fits. I've done a lot of measurements of my foot. I did a cast on, I did top down. So I did a cast on, cuff down, 64 stitches cast on, and then down to here. And then by doing some math, I realized this was done on #1 needle, US #1 DPNs. I needed to go down from 64 to 56 to fit my foot better. Even though I wear a wide shoe, most of my foot is not that big around. The circumference is not huge. It's apparently. And I think I'm a loose knitter. I need to work on this. You might be able to see where we kind of had to do. I still had a big hole here. I watched some videos and I tried to follow one that seemed to make sense. I sat there with my, knitting along with the person doing it. I forgot which one I followed, but I still ended up with holes here at what I call the corner of the heel. And so I need to work on that. You can kind of see where I just went back in I turned the sock inside out and went back in with thread and got it fixed the best I can. But I think you might be able to see, I know the color looks really weird. Up like that, it looks blue. It's not blue, it's purple. That's the color it is. It's a bright purple. It's even brighter than I think what is showing up on the screen. But this one fits. I'm going to work on the other one. I had to take a sock break. I just was like, I just have to take a break. I have been doing some other knitting, and I will link the pattern to this below. I think it's a beginner scarf. I think I found it on Ravelry. I'm not real sure. I'll have to link below. And it's a sampler scarf. So you do 6-inch sections of different stitches. So it started off with garter, then it went to stockinette, and I don't remember the names of some of these other stitches. This is like waffle or something. Basket weave. That makes more sense. I forgot what this is called. One of them smooth sand, one of them something else, and then a ribbing. And then when you finish the ribbing, you go back doing the same ones over and over. And I'm doing this on some Red Heart worsted weight. I highly recommend this as a new knitter. It's helping me practice and get the muscle memory of doing knit stitches and purls, as well as switching between knits and purls, and also learning to read my stitches so that I know, especially one of these, it was like you knit and purl across, and when you go back across, when you turn it around, you're knitting the purls and purling the knits. So that's and the same with the rib. To make sure I was staying on track, I needed to know, okay, is this which one's a knit stitch and which one's a purl stitch? That's a knit stitch. That's hard to see. And that's a purl stitch. So I highly recommend this if you're just starting off knitting or picking it back up. Something like this is pretty simple to do. You don't have to make it this big if you don't want to. And I'd seen someone else on some video recommend just start something like this. You don't ever have to actually finish it as a scarf, but just do enough rows. And you don't have to do a whole 6 inches if you don't want to, but maybe 4 inches. Enough so you can see the pattern. And maybe, I was thinking, you could even do something like that and then attach safety pin a note onto it as to what was that stitch, what size needles did you use, and what yarn did you use. These are Susan Bates needles, US 8, which is 5mm. They're, I don't know, I forget what this, it's some type of, I think it's some type of aluminum. I forgot what it's called. I got these somewhere at a thrift store at some point in time when knitting was just like, I know one day I'm going to knit. So, and I like these needles. They're very comfortable. And so that's the other thing I'm knitting on. It requires a little concentration, but it's also, you can do it when watching TV. So then the other thing I've been working on is cross stitch. I found a local cross stitch group that meets once a month on a Saturday, and for 3 or 4 hours, and everybody just cross stitches. They also welcome new people, and they get new people started on here's how you cross stitch. And there was some beautiful work. There were 14 people there last Saturday, so I'm looking forward to next month. I think I can't remember, it's the second Saturday. I think I went last Saturday. I've lost track of what Saturday it is. I think this is the third Saturday. Anyway, so I was working on this again. I'm almost finished. This is on 18 count Ada, called Homegrown. Happiness is homemade, homegrown. And I've shown this a few months ago. It came from this book from 1990 from the Cooler Design Studios, who are still in business. Home is Where the Heart is the name of the book. An American sampler. Thought I had it marked. Okay, somehow. Okay, here it is. This is what it looks like. So I still have a lot of this down here, the details down here of all this, the food and the word home cooking, and this is the border. I've mentioned before there's some errors in the pattern in the chart, and so I kind of got frustrated about it, but I am so close. What I worked on at the cross stitch meetup was these squares over here, because that doesn't require a lot of counting. It's just 4x4 squares. And so I was able to work on that. So I'm saving those for when I am around other people, or I don't want to have to keep changing thread, because there's a lot of different colors in here. Like this is a lot of different shades of brown and tan, the bread. But I think it's starting to come together. There's the pie starting to come together. This is more bread, jar of jam. So I just need to, I'm so close to finish. And when this is finished, I forgot how big it is. It's pretty good size. It's, like I said, I'm doing it on 18 count. It's going to be 2/1. It's going to be about 9 inches by 13 inches. And I'm using DMC thread. The pattern shows DMC and anchor. But yeah, I think I've got to, finish that last row of houses. There's a few things there, some back stitching, and I don't mind the back stitching, and it really helps bring things out, as you can see. Let me hold it up closer so you can see some of the details that the back stitching really helps with. So I'm working on that. It'll be a rather short video, which some of you may be happy about that. The other thing I'm working on is, this is from Woman's Day Book of American Needlework, which was published around 61. It's a big, thick book, and then you also want to buy, there's a box of patterns that comes separately. You want to buy the box of patterns if you do this one. The book has a lot of writing about the history of needlework in America and about what they're showing. But the box of patterns has all the patterns in it. It has knitting, crochet, rug hooking, quilting. Well, this is cross stitch. This is the cat sampler by Eliza Ann Edwards. This is the best photo I have of it. I've looked online and I cannot find a better photo. It was, let's see, made her work in 1826. It's quite a large piece. I am doing it on 30 count. And I've got what I'm calling the framework of this border. You see the green part? I've got I've got part of the part. I've got part of the green part done. So you can so I know my border matches up. This, oh, that's the top right. It is huge. It's a really big piece. And I've got some of these. Those flowers have 2 shades of pink, and then there's a dark green and a light green. And then at the bottom, I started working on some of these motifs across here. This house, that's a deer, there's some geese. Some swans, I think. These are flowers in pots. So I've started working on some of that. See if I can hold this up. As you can see, it's quite large. Yeah. And I cut the fabric back a lot. This is 2/1, 2/2 DMC floss. That is a dark green. It's not black. It really is dark green. I know it looks kind of black on here. Here's a close-up of one of these motifs on the border. I have quite a few of those to do. But like I said, see, I've got kind of the framework of the border. And I think I've got all the green done across the bottom. And I'm kind of alternating between the border and the motifs. The challenge with this one, other than I can't really see the picture, which would be helpful, is there are a few errors in the chart. It's hard to read. But also the color, this is their color chart. And I have written it on my copy of it. It just says medium green, chartreuse, salmon. So obviously I'm choosing my own colors. Some of them may look a little brighter than other people might think is appropriate for a reproduction antique sampler, but that's the colors I want. And, you could do them in more muted colors. But I'm enjoying these colors. These are, you can see the ones I've chosen already. Ignore this note of 520. I don't know if I'm going to use that for some of the dark green or not. That's one that I may use different shades of dark green. That's the one it's that long. In person, it doesn't look quite so black. But yeah, I'm using a lot of that medium green and chartreuse because that's in the border, and then the salmon and the peach pink. I've bought a lot of extra skeins of those because there's a lot of that in the border. And there's more of that in these other flowers. Some of this is that peach. Some of this is peach and pink. Same with some of this. Some of these flowers. Some of these motifs, I don't know if you can tell, but that's a little bitty animal there. I think it's a dog. It's really hard to tell. That the pattern says you can do them in satin stitch or do 1/1. It is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 7 stitches tall. So, and I'm doing 30 count per inch. So even over 2, it's going to be teeny tiny, like that. So I haven't done this yet, but like I said, I'm working on doing this. And what I'm doing at home is I'm trying to kind of do the outline. And then if I do want to stitch this in public, or with, with other people, then I just have to fill in. I don't have to do fiddly color changes. There's really not a lot of color changes. It's really hard to see, but okay, let me show you on here. Up here, you can see I still have to fill in this pink flower, but it's different shades of pink and the yellow, the blue. This really isn't as bad as it looks, and I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm enjoying working on it. I don't remember. I got this thread from 123 Stitch, and it's I thought I had it written down here, and I don't. Yeah, I did. Here we go. It's a half yard, or I bought a half yard. I cut it down some. 30 count honey glaze linen is what that's called, is honey glaze. And I think it's showing up pretty well on the camera, pretty true to color. You may see some pinky color on the camera. It's not pinky. It's just a nice, honey glaze. And it's nice warm brown. I think it's not mottled, it's just a solid color. But this would look good on probably an overdyed, if you wanted to do it in an overdyed linen. Obviously, you could do it on a higher count because this thing is still like 24 inches or something insane like that. I thought I had that written down. Here we go. 18 by 20 inches. No, that's not right. Oh, that's the one. 18 by 23. 18 by 23 inches on 30 count. So I've got my fabric cut down to 26 by 29. So I had to buy a half yard. So I still have a lot left over, but I needed enough to have, plenty of room for eventually, I guess, framing it, somehow figuring out how to hang it. I haven't priced cross stitch framing in many, many years. So I'm trying to prepare myself for, I've got a few things I want frame. Either I have to learn to do it myself or find the money because I'm sure I remember what it was 30, 40 years ago. And I know how prices have gone up. Now they recommend, and the pattern, if you buy the book of patterns that go with or the box of patterns that go with the book, it gives you suggestions. And on this one, it recommends work the border first, start on the lower edge. They recommended starting at the bottom and working up on the border, which I think I did that. And then that's one reason why I did this, was kind of to make sure my borders meet. What's good is these borders are not all exactly alike. So if you get to one and it seems you're off, you can be off a stitch or two and no one is ever going to know. See, there's another corner. So this was the last corner I did. So I kind of worked around that way and I came back this way so that I could just, skip a stitch or add a stitch or whatever as needed. And I don't remember if I did. I didn't make a note of it. Because I know somewhere else I'm off a stitch. So I was like, well, I can make it up right here. And so that's what I did. And that's, so now, like I said, I'm going back. And this week I spent some time across this bottom border, filling in more of the green, the dark green. And the light green that goes in these rows, that'll be something I can do if I'm hanging out with other people. Because I have a few social situations that we get together and stitch, either knit, crochet, cross stitch, whatever anybody feels like doing. So I have a lot of those to do. But these are a little it's hard to read the pattern, and I think I need to make another copy and, like, highlight all the dark green on one copy and all the light green on one copy and the 2 shades of pink, highlight the dark pink on one copy and the light pink on one copy, and I think that would make it easier for me to read. I did highlight the dark green on the copy I'm working from, also enlarged it because the print is small. But I think as I'm talking about this, I think that maybe what I should do because yeah, I've got to do this so many times. I forgot the count, but as you can see, that's a lot of the same thing over and over. So I'm taking it in small chunks. Once I get going with it, it's like, oh, okay, the way I kind of keep myself mentally motivated is I just kind of go, okay, I'm just going to do this one, or I'm going to do all these little pieces here, you know. So I kind of break it down into chunks and then kind of get the dopamine hit of, well, at least I finished that chunk. But yeah, it's going to take a while. But I'm really excited about the cat on the rug. I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons I chose this is it's a cat. I'm not sure what I'm going to put here. I don't know if I'm going to put her name. Or I don't really want to put my name, but I don't know what I'm going to put there. I may put her name. I don't know. That's going to be the last thing I do. And so I have plenty of time to think about that. And yeah, so that's what I've been up to. I have gone to some social events. Things are kind of, but the next few weeks with the holidays, people aren't getting together to stitch very often. And I don't, um, my family's not close by, so, and holidays are not a big thing for us. So I don't have a lot of plans. So I will probably spend a lot of my holiday on this. And that makes me happy. And chatting with some of my friends online and friends in real life who also spend a lot of the holiday alone. But it is how it is. I didn't mean to start going down that rabbit hole. So I have another video coming up that I want to do, which is about why you should learn to read crochet and knitting charts. That's a whole soapbox for me right now. And the weather here is some days it's cold, some days it's in the 60s. Right now, it's like 61 degrees this afternoon in Georgia, or the part of Georgia I'm in, and the sun has been shining, but it still feels a little nippy. Oh, I know what. I also went to a new to me yarn shop. It's about an hour from my house. I was in that area a couple of days ago. I guess it was Wednesday, and so I went in there. I don't have the yarn here beside me. I did buy some more of this same brand of yarn, but I bought I think it's a DK weight. Maybe it's not DK. It's thicker than finger. Maybe it's a number 2. Because I'd like to one day make some socks that are slightly thicker, but not as thick as a worsted. Not bed house socks like I showed before. Which I do. I am enjoying my house socks I made because my feet are cold when I go to bed. I can put those on and they feel nice and toasty. And they were made with Vanna's Choice by I think Lion Brand. You'd have to check my past video. But I did buy some more of this. I also bought me some I want to say Prism needles, DPNs that are square, the ones that are metal, but they are square. I've heard good things about them. I haven't used them yet. I've heard they're sometimes a little easier to handle that and reduce the fatigue on your fingers, which I don't really fatigue in my fingers as much as my thumb starts to my elbows. Particularly this thumb, this hand. Uh, I dislocated my wrist earlier this year and had to have surgery. And even though I didn't hurt my thumb, it still is affected by what I did, my wrist issue. overall, I'm very happy with the surgery and feel very fortunate that I really haven't lost range of motion, maybe 5%. So, sorry about that, shaking the TV or the computer. Uh, I hope everyone has a good rest of the year. I don't know if I'm gonna film before then, except for my video about why you should learn to read patterns. So look for that coming up in the next week or so. And I'll probably check in around the end of the month and give you some updates of what I'm doing. If you will, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, leave any comments below. I appreciate the comments on the last video about how to get socks to fit. And I'm trying them. I'm trying smaller needles. I'm trying, um, so just really studying my foot, measuring the different parts of my foot, and working on and figuring out what my gauge is and working on that. I want to start another pair toe up, but I'm telling myself I really need to finish the other sock first. And again, I need to take a break because a mental break from socks for at least a week, a couple of weeks. So I hope you enjoyed today. And like I said, please give me a like and the thumbs up thing, subscribe, leave any comments below. If there's any questions about what I'm stitching on, please let me know. Sorry, I just hit something. And I will see you in a few weeks. Thanks.